everyone, and welcome to this edition of Storytime with Jocelyn. Today's featured story is Little Red Riding Hood, and we're going to be reading it from the Minediton. Now, a while back, we read from another Minediton, and it was called Hansel and Gretel. So it's exactly alike. Now, look at that reflective plastic that's on the cover of this Minediton. Little Red Riding Hood. So let us begin by reading Little Red Riding Hood, which was, of course, written by the Brothers Grimm. And this edition is illustrated by Sybille Schenker and translated by Anthea Bell. Let us begin. Once upon a time, there was a dear little girl, and everyone, Jocelyn, who set eyes on her, loved her. But her grandmother loved her most of all and never was tired of giving her presents. Once she gave her granddaughter a little red velvet cap, and because it suited the girl so well and she wore it all the time, she was known as Little Red Cap. One day her mother said to her, "Now, Little Red Cap, here's a piece of cake and a bottle of wine. Take them to your grandmother. She's sick and weak, and the cake and wine will do her good. You had better set out before the day is too hot. And when you are away from here, follow the path like a good girl, and you might fall and break the glass bottle, and there would be none of the wine left for your grandmother. And when you reach her house, don't forget to say good morning, and don't go poking about in every corner." Isn't that pretty? "I'll do everything just as you say," Little Red Cap told her mother, giving her hand to show she meant it. Her grandmother, however, lived out in the forest, half an hour's walk from the village, and when Little Red Cap entered the forest, the wolf came to meet her. However, she didn't know what a wicked animal he was, so she was not afraid of him. "Good day, Little Red Cap," said the wolf. "Thank you, wolf, and good day to you," she replied. "Where are you going so early in the morning, Little Red Cap?" "To see my grandmother." "And what's that you are carrying under your apron?" "Cake and wine. It was baking day yesterday, and I'm taking my poor sick grandmother something to do and something good for her and to give her good new strength." "So where does your grandmother live, Little Red Cap?" "Another quarter of a half hour's walk into the forest from here. Right, Jocelyn?" "Mm-hmm. Her house stands under the big oak trees with hazelnut hedges outside of it. I'm sure you will know the place," said Little Red Cap. The wolf thought to himself, "This tender young thing will make me a good meal. She'll taste even better than the old lady. I must go about this cunningly if I am to snap them both up." So he went along beside the little girl for a while, and then he said, "Look at those pretty flowers growing all around, Little Red Cap. Why don't you look over there? I don't think you even hear the little birds singing so sweetly. You just walk straight ahead if you were on your way to school. Yet it's such fun out in the forest." Little Red Cap opened her eyes wide, and when she saw the sunbeams dancing back and forth as they shone through the trees, and all the lovely flowers growing in the forest, she thought, "If I take grandmother a bunch of fresh flowers, she'd like that too. And it's so early in the day that I shall still arrive in good time." So she left the path through the forest and went looking for flowers. She's already disobeying. Oh, I didn't notice. Can you see her? She's down there at the bottom. walking with the wolf. You see that, Jocelyn? Whenever she picked one, she thought she saw an even prettier one further away, and she went to pick it, and so stayed further and further into the forest. She strayed. But as for the wolf, he went straight to the grandmother's house and knocked on the door. "Who's that outside?" called the old lady. "It's me, Little Red Cap, bringing you some cake and wine. Open the door." "Just push the latch down," Grandmother replied. "I'm too weak to get up." The wolf pushed the latch down and the door opened, and without a word he went straight to Grandmother's bed and swallowed her all up. Then he put on her clothes, set her cap on his head, and lay down in her bed and drew the curtains around it. Meanwhile, Little Red Cap had been running about picking flowers, and when she had so many that she could hardly carry them, she remembered her grandmother and set off for her house. She was surprised to find the door open, and when she went into Grandmother's room, it felt so strange that she said to herself, "Oh my goodness, how frightened I feel today, and yet I usually love going to see Grandmother." "Good morning," she called, but there was no answer. So she went up to the bed and pulled back the curtains. There lay Grandmother with her cap far down over her face, looking so strange. "Oh, Grandmother, what big ears you have! All the better to hear you with," said the wolf. "Oh, Grandmother, what big eyes you have! All the better to see you with." "Oh, Grandmother, what big hands you have! All the better to grab you with." "But oh, Grandmother, what terribly big mouth you have!" "All the better to eat you with." And as soon as the wolf had said those words, he jumped out of the bed and swallowed poor Little Red Cap all up. When the wolf had satisfied his appetite, he lay down in the bed again, fell asleep, and began snoring loudly. The huntsman happened to be passing the house, and he thought, "How the old lady is snoring! I'd better go and see if there's anything wrong with her." "I know, Jocelyn." So he went into the room, and when he was standing beside the bed, he saw the wolf in it. "Oh, you old sinner, is this where I find you?" said he. "I've been after you for a long time." And he was about to aim his gun when it occurred to him that the wolf might have swallowed grandmother whole, and she could still be saved. So he didn't fire a shot, but took a pair of scissors and began cutting the sleeping wolf's belly open. After he had made a few cuts, he saw the little bright red cap, and after a few more, the little girl jumped out crying. "Oh, how scared I was! It was so dark inside the wolf." Then out came her old grandmother as well, still alive, but very breathless. Little Red Cap hurried off to fetch some large stones, and they filled the wolf's body with the stones. When he woke up, he tried to run away, but the stones were so heavy that he sank under their weight and fell down dead. Aww. They were all three very happy. The huntsman skinned the wolf and took the wolf's skin home with him. Grandmother ate the cake and drank the wine that Little Red Cap had brought and soon felt better. And as for Little Red Cap, she thought to herself, "I'll never in my life stray off the path and go into the forest when my mother has told me not to." What a good little girl. Listen to Mama. And here is the huntsman dragging off the wolf. The end. And that is the Minediton edition of Little Red Riding Hood. I hope y'all enjoyed that story. And join us next week because we're going to be reading something very special and that we're going to have to break up into two parts because it's a little long, but it's not as long as some of the other chapter books. But you're going to have so much fun. This was one of my favorite movies when I was young. And here is a clue of someone that's going to be joining us for the next story time. Bye-bye.